Good morning, dear friends. Let us discuss today the mother of all chronic miasm that has been described in aphorism number 80 in 6th edition of Organon written by Dr. Hahnemann. We discuss the topic in the following points. Number 1, introduction. 2, the history of Psora. Development of Psora, H.A. Robert view on Psora, Kent's view on Psora, antipsoric treatment, mode of administration of remedy, diet and regimen in antipsoric treatment, then the last is conclusion. In introduction, we should know the word meaning of Psora, which is derived from Latin word also from Hebraic origin. Original word Psora, which means a groove, a fault, a pollution and a stigma. Before Hahnemann, the word used as leprous manifestation and the other great plagues. The dictionary meaning of Psora is the itch or some similar skin eruption. The itch mite means which is caused by Sarcoptes cavi. Psoriasis may be one of the meaning of Psora. As per the master's view, the definition of Psora is the most fundamental cause of so many chronic maladies, is the most ancient, most universal, most destructive and yet most misapprehended chronic miasmatic disease. It is the mother of all thousands of chronic diseases. It is the oldest and the most hydra-headed miasm. The 7th, 8th of all the chronic diseases are caused by Psora. Passing through many millions of the organisms, different types of constitutions, through many generations, it has produced so many secondary symptoms in the form of so-called pathological and nosological diseases. If we discuss the history of Psora, it is the ancient miasm described by Moses before 3400 years ago, who point out several varieties of Psora, use the word elephant closer to the meaning of lichen, tetter and herpes. In Leviticus, the malignant itch was designated as garab. Alexandria translators Psora agria. Jonathan described it as dry itch present all over the body. As per Bible, leprosy is similar to an inveterate itch without violent itching. As per Hahnemann, the history of Psora, that is voluptuous itching after scratching, painful burning. Plato, glycopicron. Cicero, Duledo of the scabies. Same thing in schematically, you just listen again, this is very important. Moses called it elephant, Alexandrian Psora agria, Leviticus garab, Jonathan dry itch present all over the body, English leprosy similar itch, Plato, glycopicron and Cicero, Duledo. Then you come to the Psora as per research concern. Hahnemann's research tells among the Israelites affected purely on the external part of the body. The same disease was prevalent during Middle Ages in Greece, Arabia and lately in Europe. These were only the malignant leprosy deformed the external part of the body. The occidental Psora means Western Psora. In Middle Age, it prevailed in form of malignant erysipelas or Anthony's fire. This is the form of leprosy brought by the returning crusaders in the 13th century to Europe, elevated by the cleanness and the uses of cotton and linen shirts brought by the crusaders by the Orient or Eastern Psora. Again, in continuation, the frequent use of warm baths, the exquisite diet, the refinement in the mode of living had moderated violent the external Psora in the form of common eruption of the itch. Just at this time, the other chronic miasmatic disease, syphilis, comes to the field in the year 1493. Let us discuss the development of Psora. The development of Psora can be described or explained in the following points. Number 1, mode of infection. 2, internal development. 3, external manifestation of symptoms. Under external manifestation of symptoms, again it can be decentralized into primary manifestation, latent manifestation and secondary manifestation of Psora. Primary manifestation of Psora, the psoric in the each vesicle contains the miasm. Touch of fluid to the general skin itself is infectious. Each miasm enter in the organism at the moment of touch. The itch disease is now, however, also most contagious of all chronic miasm. Feeling the pulse when being born is infected while passing through the hands of the infected wife. Then you come to the internal development. After the mode of infection, after touch no more remains local. All washing and cleaning of the spot is useless. First few days no remarkable change is seen. The local nerve which was first infected had communicated the miasm dynamically to enter parts of the body in an unperceived manner. This happens till the whole body is covered. In this manner, the internal development is completed. After the completion of the internal development, the primary manifestation of Psora, it comes. Vital force tries to elevate and soothe the internal disease through the production of local symptoms on the skin, which produces in form of each vesicle appears after 6, 7, 10 or even 14 days, which depends on the susceptibility of the patient. The patient feels slightly more severe chill in the evening and general heat, followed by perspiration in the following night. The appearance of each vesicle similar to miliary fever, first seen in the infected part which later spread to the other part of the body, accompanied by characteristic voluptuous tinkling, itching, which is unbearable, agreeable to the patient, forces the patient irresistible rub and scratch. In continuation, if the patient forcible resist himself from scratching, a shudder passes over the skin over whole body. Rubbing and scratching satisfy the patient for a short period, continued by burning of the part affected. Late in evening or before midnight, the itch is more frequent and unbearable. The each vesicle in the first stage contains leaf as clear as water, soon changes to pus, fills in the tip of the vesicle. When the patient scratches or rubs, the lymph of the vesicle spread all over. This lymph is full of psoric miasm, which is potentially ineffective. Even the clothes, the utensils used by the patient when touched, propagate the disease. Persistence of primary manifestation, there is no chances of appear of secondary manifestation. In this stage can easily cured by the internal use of dynamic homeopathic remedies. If not treated properly or treated by external application, the disease increases. Skin eruptions start to spread all over the body. This happens in order to soothe the internal developing disease. patient appear healthy in other aspect. The internally developed psora remaining still dormant, skin eruption will increase in proportion to its internal development. Internal psora increases unceasingly by the use of external application or completely spread over the body. Then you should discuss about the latent psora. It can be defined: the state of the psora remains latent or dormant without manifesting considerable disturbance and not sufficiently developed for the full outbreak of the disease. The superficially investing physician can turn the patient with the latent psora as healthy person. The each vesicle not cured by antipsoric remedy and are suppressed. Psora might remain in its dormant stage. Suppression may be due to external application or natural means. The disturbance is located in the central life mechanism perceptible through sensorial and functional changes in the organism. Then the nosological diagnosis is not possible at this stage. Latent psora may be recognized even in those cases where it has not manifested itself in starting disease. Grouping of psoric symptoms is not possible as it passed millions of years. Then let us discuss about the secondary manifestation of psora, the slumbering psora or latent psora. When found the favorable conditions, attack of an epidemic fever, infectious disease, a shock, a fall, a wound, etc., the latent psora awakes, produces so many chronic diseases. Most of the conditions are worsened by allopathic management. Some of the secondary manifestation will subside when most favorable conditions to patient will return, but cannot check completely. Appear in different type of functional disturbances. Roberts stated that in this modern industrial world, we rarely found a patient who is free from emotional, economic stress, adulterated food, stored and canned food, and undue stress and strain. This emotional strain can considered as an important factor in developing psoric conditions. The inability to relax for the natural conditions and important functions demanded by the nature. Hustle and bustle take away our rhythmic, full deep breathing. The hurry for trains and time clocks interfere too often with the excretory function. The demand of the society leads us to suppress natural perspiration. Anxiety over almost and often deprives us of necessarily yet certainly of chance moments of relaxation. When we adapt the wrong living conditions, appealing plagues and seasons of famine, we develop a disease tendency which Hahnemann called psora. According to H.O. Robert, again, the hypothesis psora a result of deficiency based on applied knowledge of biochemistry. The human body constructed by elements of lower atomic weights: hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, fluorine, sodium, magnesium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, then iron, copper, zinc, arsenic and iodine. Iodine has highest atomic weight, that is 53. Element of highest atomic weight like radioactive substances are destructive in nature and to the human body. So if a patient is found to be lacking any in one of the above stated elements, we can consider them as psoric. It is not applicable in case of psychological stress. Robert stated that this tendency will continue to be until corrected, though through more healthy and natural way of living plus the power of the potentized remedy to release suppressions and tune the maladjustment to order. According to Keynes, which is described in chapter number 8 and 19, psora is the beginning of all physical sickness. Without psora, the syphilis and psychosis is not possible. Acute disease would not have occurred. Psora is the primary disorder of human race. As long as man continue to respect the wise rules and regulations of nature, good behaviors towards his neighbors, etc., he remained free from susceptibility to disease. As at the will understanding will be the external understanding, Psora is the result of false thinking of the human race. It is the state that is prior, the each is not prior, the will and understanding are prior to a man's action. Then we should come to the antipsoric treatment, which depends upon the stage. The stages are treating the primary manifestation of Psora, treating the latent or secondary manifestation of Psora. Next, we should come to the treatment in continuation. The primary manifestation of Psora appears in the least dangerous part of the body. For example, external skin, the area the miasm had touched the nearest nerve. Primarily manifestation remains Psora can cure quickly, easily and surely. A small dose of 1 or 2 pills as large as poppy seeds moisten the potentized sulfur in alcohol is evidently sufficient to cure the infection. But if treated badly by external application or the suppression has taken place by the natural means, Psora produces secondary manifestation. In such conditions, sulfur alone is insufficient and ineffective. If the primary eruption have been suppressed either by external application or by natural means, the secondary chronic elements will break out. Several antipsoric is required, not cured by the sulfur only. The base of selection is totality of symptoms, bodily constitutions with their peculiarities, their education, habits, occupation, mode of life and diet might have modeled the Psora with varying bodily and psychic symptoms. Hence, Psora required medicines in succession. Well selected antipsoric remedy allowed till finishing its action without interrupting its action. Till improvement continues, repetition of the same remedy is not allowed. If new symptoms appear, patient never felt in life have developed, indicate the selected medicine is not suitable. Previous medicine can be checked by antidote or another antipsoric medicine can be administered. Present symptoms aggravating with feeling of betterment of the patient is homeopathic aggravation. It is better prognosis. But after long time of waiting, if the aggravation does not subside and increases in the severity, dose is large, needs antidote to check the homeopathic aggravation. If antidote is not available, the suitable homeopathic medicine is selected. Action remains standstill, then we have to still consider the same remedy and the same medicine in different potency need to be administered. The completed action must be there. After completion of the action, the remaining symptoms demanding another remedy, then another suitable remedy need to be selected on the basis of totality of symptom. Cases coming from allopathic management, during their treatment dose of sulfur or super sulfur is required. Sometimes mercury can be added. Irritating patient, we have to keep attention, and dynamic medicine did not act there. Recommended mesmerism and passes on the patient may administer in form of olfaction. Mode of administration of the medicine, especially in case of antipsoric, early in the morning in empty stomach, must be dry on the tongue and allowed to dissolve or be moistened with 2 or 3 drops of water on a spoon. No drinking or eating of food is allowed half an hour or whole hour. To get a strong action, the medicine must be stirred in a little more water until dissolved before taking the medicine. After taking the medicine, the patient must keep perfectly quiet at least for a full hour, but without going sleep, because sleep always delays beginning of the action of the medicine. The mode of administration in continuation should not be given before menses are expected and not during the flow, but 4 days, means 96 hours after the menses have set in. In cases of premature or too profuse or too long lasting menses, a small dose of high dynamization of Nux vomica is used on the 4th day of menses. Nux vomica removes excessive sensitiveness and irritability and makes the way for antipsoric remedy. Indicated antipsoric remedy can be given on the following 4th day. Pregnancy is not at all hind at all disturbance. It prevents the miscarriage and helps in proper presentation of the fetus and promotes natural labor. It also prevents sore breast and nipple and any other complications in the mother that arise from the Psora. In children and infant, the suckling will never receive the medicine, but the mother or wet nurse receive them. Act in the children through mother's milk, quick, mild and beneficial. The role of diet and mode of living must be considered during the treatment of Psora. All the diet and mode of living hinder the treatment must be removed. Abstinence is not advisable because of long time treatment. The mode of living must be regulated. Daily laborers and physical workers can be allowed to do their work. Housewives allowed to do their domestic work according to their strength. Sedentary workers and scholars are encouraged to work more in open air. The innocent amusements are allowed. The passive exercise like riding, driving, immoral intercourse must not be allowed. Forbidding sex in physically fit persons is not necessary. Mental occupations which will strain the mind must be avoided. Self-medication is not allowed. Palliative stimulants like perfumes, scented waters and tooth powders must also be forbidden. If the patient is in habit, can be withdrawn in tapering manner. Regarding the drinks and beverages, coffee must be forbidden. The young people up to 25 years can stop all of a sudden. Above 30 to 40 years reduce habit gradually. Hahnemann's advice is alternative to coffee, rye or wheat roasted like coffee seeds in a drum, then boiled and prepared like coffee seeds. Both taste and smell resembles. Chinese tea is not advisable as it flatteringly allures the nerves and so secretly and inevitably infects and weakens the nerves. Wine can be allowed in a conditional manner. In case of withdrawal, in the first week, wine can be mixed with equal parts of water, later gradually mixed with 2, 3, 4 and finally stopped. Drinks and beverages, again whiskey and brandy are not at all allowed, produce opposite after effect. Beer is not allowed. Regarding the food, nervous and abdominal complaints, dishes containing vinegar and citric acid. For such patients, acidic sour foods, unripe gooseberries and currants must be allowed in small quantities. Sweet foods are allowed in small quantities. Baked prunes, plum fruits used for palliatives, ill means calf meats are not advisable to the constipated patient. Diminished sexual power, limit the intake of young chicken, eggs, spices of vanilla, truffles means an eatable fungus and caviar means fish eggs. In continuation, saffron and cinnamon, ladies with scanty menses avoided. Weak stomach, avoid cinnamon and cloves. Vegetable substances cause flatulence must be avoided. Beef and food, wheat bread or rye bread, cow's milk and moderate use of fresh butter is a good harmless food for men and chronic patients. Salt must be used in small quantities. The flesh and fat of geese and ducks are less permeated. Pickles and smoked meat must be used sparingly. The herbal soups and eating old rancid cheese must be avoided. The better quality fish should be prepared by boiling and less spiced ones are preferred. fish dried in the air or smoked. Fish is not allowed. Herring, sardines and salt fish can be used sparingly. Use of tobacco and snuff must be controlled and better avoided. In habitual user, it can be avoided gradually. Regarding the mind and intellect, the special care must be taken. Uninterrupted grief and vexation very soon increases even the smallest traces of slumbering latent Psora into more severe chronic disease. Physician must try to enliven the mind of the patient with the help of his related and surroundings, because the perfect selected antipsoric medicine cannot help the patient if sorrow and vexation constantly present. Thank you very much for patient listening.